the fair winds blow. Our home is where the waters flow. We'll show you what we've come to know on board while sailing wisdom. Fine, I'm just doing this 9 million times.
2,560 times to be exact.
Could have gone without knowing that. The time has come to build our lithium battery bank. I am so excited, but it's going to take a lot of busy work. So each one of these individual cells needs to be compiled into a 16 by 16 grid of battery. The battery we're making is a 16S 16P. Each battery is going to be 48 volts with 96 amp hours, and we're making 5 of them. That'll make a total battery bank of 480 amps. Now, the reason we're doing it this way, we're building the whole battery ourselves, is because this is how you do it for super cheap. We literally saved thousands of dollars. To buy these batteries fully made, it would cost you $19,000. What we spent? $5,000. That's a savings of $14,000. So I think that all of this work is gonna be worth it. What?
This giant thing we're building?
It's half.
Half of one bank. There's 5 of these.
So glad that I have a newfound passion.
Yeah.
I love this. This is Marcel. He is our first cell.
Yes. So we're going to be building the battery now. Now, these guys are called cylindrical cells, and each one holds 6 amps at 3.2 volts because it's lithium iron phosphate, which is really fancy talk for the good lithium battery that doesn't blow up into flames and kill you and burn everything that you love and hold dear. We're going to be assembling these into a giant grid that's really complicated, but actually pretty simple once you figure out how the giant grid works. Why are we doing cylindrical cells instead of prismatic plates, in case you're wondering that? And the reason is cylindrical cells can discharge and charge at a higher rate than prismatic plates can, which is a plus. And then the other reason of why are we doing all this work instead of just buying some Battleborns like every other big YouTube channel out there? And the reason is Battleborns are really expensive, and inside Battleborns are these little cylindrical cells. So we're going to build them ourselves, and we're building them at the price of $200 per every Battleborn battery equivalent, but a Battleborn costs $1,000.
Oh boy. This is not going to be easy.
We have this beautiful grid that looks really nice, but it's not hooked up to anything and won't actually give you any power. So now we're going to actually put all these nickel strips connecting everything into a giant, huge battery system. And this giant spider web with a ton of wires is going to control it. You have B negative and C negative. And a real easy way to remember them is battery negative and then C negative. It's the other one. So these are your positives, these are your negative. This guy's eventually going to hook up to the end here because the power runs all the way through and they're 3.2 volts each, and you have 16 of them, so it's da-da-da-da-da-da, and adds up to 48 volts. This guy is your temperature probe. If the batteries get too hot, too cold, this thing tells it that the temperatures aren't right. Shut it down.
As you can see, the batteries have two sides, the negative and the positive. This side is the most positive and this side is the most negative. So all we're going to do is set it up so that this wire connects to the most positive, and then on down the line, wire, 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 connect, 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 until we get to the most negative, and that's going to be the last one we connect to.
So with the BMS, we're going to hook it all up after, but you have to keep in mind when we run all the nickel strips to connect everything, where these wires are going to be going, so that way you don't build a system and then have to like tack on extra things because you forgot stuff. Because it's never good to forget things, especially with this much power. Okay, so the next step is to make this collection of tiny battery cells a battery, a single 48-volt battery. So we're going to use this nickel strip and we're going to connect all these things up. So pretty much we're going to run long strips all the way down these sides to connect everything in parallel, well, each series of cells in parallel, and we're going to hook up all those series of cells to each other to make a big battery. Math comes into this really hard here. This strip can flow 5 amps. So you need to calculate how many amps do you want to be drawing out of the thing, and then figure out how many strips you need to have running so that way you can have enough wires and enough ampacity. That way you don't short something out. Because when you're connecting it all, you want it to connect. You don't want to put fuses in places for them to blow.
Inquiring minds may want to know how we're going to attach this nickel strip to all of these batteries. Well, the answer is welding. This is a spot welder, and we're going to be spot welding every single battery to a strip of nickel.
Oh yeah.
Oh. Man, my left hand sucks.
Every day is a struggle. Every day is a trial. Every day is a failure. I have to walk another mile. I'll go wherever you go. Every day is a heartbeat. Every day another moment. Every day is a gallows. I can feel it in the bone. I'm alone. Take me home. As you make the bed, so you must lie. Every day is a rabbit trap and a walk of the lamb. Do you think you can sue me for that? As a judge of the land, I'll go wherever you go. This life doesn't go well with me. I'm not a member of the band. Do you think you can like me despite that? Sitting on God's right hand, I'm alone. Take me home. As you make the bed, so we must lie.
The first battery is complete. That's really exciting, but we now have to get it into the floor. So that means taking out our old AGMs.
Alright, so this is our old battery box. Actually, our battery box. It holds our old batteries, and it will soon hold the new ones. So the big reason that you want lithium over lead acid is these guys, say you have a 100 amp hour battery, right? You can only actually use 40% of it, which means you have 40 amps that you can use. If you had that in lithium, you can use 80%. So you get 80 amps that you can use. So it's literally doubling your battery capacity while reducing weight and just all sorts of other things that are amazing. So it's time to take these out, put the new ones in. Then we can have power to the boat until we're finished. Okay, so we're gonna run the boat off of the old batteries that are up in the front area. It's 4 more batteries, and that'll give us power to run our anchor light because we're anchored, and all the interior lights and everything. And we'll be able to take these out and go putting in the new ones. Now, the really cool thing, we're doing all of this on solar power. So the sun charges up the batteries that we're going to be taking out right now, and then we've been using that through an inverter to run all the electronics that we need to make the batteries that we're doing. So that's kind of cool. The first battery is done. Hi, Morty. Yes, hello. He is a dog. So we're going to be putting that battery in the battery box. That way we have space to build. That's correct, Morty. The second battery. Thank you, Morty, for helping. So we don't want the battery to be like sloshing all over the place. So we're going to put a rubber sheet down under it. And then also we're going to put the rubber sheet down between each one. So that way, just in case this like super fancy tape that's on the batteries like chafes through, they don't short out and blow up and burn us all.
I know, bud.
Now this just weighs a very light sum of 80 pounds.
Probably like 82 pounds.
Oh yeah, then we have all the other gizmos on it. Yeah, the cells alone weigh 80 pounds. All right.
Oh my gosh. Don't drop it.
I will never drop it. But I will set it down. Okay. Okay, battery is fully built. So this side is the negative bus bar. This is all the BMS wires that come up to the BMS. And then a positive bus bar on the other side that leads to all the positive lead. Gets mounted down in the floor here. So that's the other one we've built. There's the bus bar and the BMS. And that is how we're building our lithium batteries for our boat. Okay, not too bad. So we, and by we, mostly Maddie, made this battery today. All today. Start to finish.
It is 1 million degrees in here.
It's so hot. It's Florida in the summer.
And I'm cooking. And the boat is closed up because it's raining.
And we're spot welding all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fine.
It's just an 80-pound battery.
So that's the third battery in. So now we're actually going to hook the boat up to these batteries and then run on these while we switch out the other batteries. So we currently have 4 batteries in the old house bank, and that's running the boat right now while we're doing all this crazy stuff. And then we're going to be taking those out to put in 2 more lithium batteries over there. So need to make space, but we also need power to run our anchor light at night.
Well, Herbie's been working all afternoon to hook up the lithium to the boat. Now, with the switch that I press, we're going to be converted to a lithium-powered boat, officially.
Okay, boat has power. We're sucking... Ooh, there the fridge kicked in. 2.4 amps. Okay, we're going to give it a little test here. That works.
Wow.
Okay, I got it set to 12 amps. I'm just going to test it. Just run it for a little bit, make sure nothing's getting hot. Then we'll go upping it all the way to 300 amps.
You look like a super nerd.
I am doing this. Alright, let's up it. Yeah, kick it up to 50.
Ooh.
Yep, 50 amps going out.
Nothing's hot?
No?
We did it right?
I think so.
That's so cool!
Alright, I'm gonna kick it up higher. 200.
Okay. Something shorted out?
It might not be short out. It's just the BMS protecting something. Question is what and why? No, everything feels okay. Might have just been we tripped some kind of parameter, and it did what it's supposed to do, which is shut it down if something happens. Just have no idea what. And we don't have the Bluetooth modules yet because the ones we ordered didn't work. So I ordered new ones and they're at the post office. So we have to go get them. But it's Sunday, so we go tomorrow. And with that, we'll be able to figure out what's up. So until then, it runs the house loads and runs the motor a little. Just not, full speed ahead.
Jerry, we do not eat expensive camera equipment. Good.
Okay, I'm going to call them banks 1, 2, and 3, even though they're just all one giant bank of batteries. So what ended up happening is bank 1 and 2 are running. Bank 3 is not for some reason. And when I gunned it all the way, I was sucking in 180 amps before the sucker cut out. The BMSs are only rated for 60 amps, so we went above the 120 amps from those 2 BMSs. 3 of them should have been able to do it. The BMS will let you go for 10 seconds, a little bit above, actually double. So you can get 120 amps out of each BMS that's rated for 60, but for 10 seconds. After those 10 seconds, your motor's off. So you don't really want to do that. And that is exactly what happened. I have to figure out why this third one's not working. You really want to make sure that when you're putting them in, you get all the dovetails in all the way, because otherwise you have to pop it in. Are you liking all the battery building?
It's fine. It's a lot of just super repetitive, busy work that's not really hard to do, but you have to pay close attention to what you're doing because you can't mess it up. So what we're doing right now is building the connectors for the final 2 batteries. And they're different dimensions from the 3 previous ones we've built because they're going in a different location. I am really giddy to be finished with this. The good news is, we've gotten to the point where we can kind of get them done pretty fast. That being said, pretty fast means 1 full day per battery. But we're going to see if today we can get both batteries finished in tandem.
So if you can, build your batteries square because it makes everything so much easier. But if space makes it funky and you have to go with a weird rectangular pattern.
And that means that all of the connections are going to be really
places.
Different.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot more math.
Yeah. Herbie spent some time on the iPad the other day drawing and just kind of figuring out the connections and everything, and it looks really different from what we've been doing. So I'm excited to show you guys because it actually looks pretty cool.
It does, but it is a lot of math because the other one's super simple and easy. This one I had to go through and run different scenarios that you could possibly do. I think I came up with about 9 and then figured out which was the most efficient form. Now that we have the cells all put in here, we're going to get them hooked up. Last time, all the batteries we're making were square, so it was really easy because all the positives were in a line. So you just put one strip across, all the positives are now in parallel. And then a bunch of interconnects running laterally to the sides to the next string, which was all the negatives. And it was really easy to hook them up in series. So with these, you really have to know what you're doing, and there's some theory in it. But once you have that theory, then you're good to go. And you can pretty much make any pattern, any system that you need. So if you have 16 interconnections, you can flow 80 amps from one positive terminal to the next negative terminal in the series connection. So you need that many. If you have less than that and you start drawing a high load, like if we just connect the 16 positives and 16 negatives with this one strip, it'll connect, you'll have 48 volts, but when you start drawing more than 5 amps, this sucker turns into a fuse and it's gonna burn and your battery goes away. So it's really important to figure out what exactly you're gonna be using these batteries for how much power you're going to be needing, and then build an appropriate size setup for it. So in our case, our motor at full speed draws 400 amps. So if we break that down, if we have 5 banks that can flow 80 amps, that then becomes acceptable. That means that the 5 banks in unison, all flowing 80 amps, will flow 400 amps to the motor. So that means everything in here has to be built to run 80 amps. If we were doing 4 banks instead of 5, we'd have to build each bank able to do 100 amps. So this is how the system builds up. So what do you do when you have 10 interconnections available, which would give you only the ability to flow 50 amps, but you want to flow 80 amps like in our case? Well, it's simple. You add more. So we just make sure that we have 16 interconnections between every single one. So this is one interconnection, and when there's not enough space, you put 2, and you just stack them, and now you can flow 5 and 10 amps. So this little bridge flows 10 amps, where this one right here only flows 5. And that's it. It's simple math. Together, with all these little extra ones that we have, it adds up to be 16 strips interconnecting the battery bank. So that gives us the 80 amps that we need. That way everything works just fine. So it's all about planning what you need and then factoring in safety factor on top of safety factor.
Oh, jeez. It needs to come more this way.
Okay.
It's in.
It is in.
Okay. Yeah. And with that, all 5 lithium batteries are put away snug in their containers. And we are so excited because this means we are officially a lithium-powered boat. We have so many plans for these batteries. It feels amazing to have accomplished this. Building our own lithium batteries with our own 4 hands has been arduous and painstaking, but it's been totally worth it, and we feel so good about what we accomplished.
And in our storm warning video that we made, everyone was asking, how do you get that thing back?
We couldn't even make it to the anchorage. This is literally what's happening right now.
Well, I got thoroughly soaked, but we did capture a few gallons of water.
Thanks for watching this episode of Sailing Wisdom. Don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next Rigging Doctor episode. And if you're interested in even more Rigging Doctor awesomeness, consider becoming a patron to see all of our extras. Can't wait to see you next time as you join us out here on the high seas.